Brass Squad in the mix.
Every year we petting, drinking and paranging to celebrate Christmas Day. We idolizing Santa, but no time for the Savior. This is not the way I say. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. He came down here to save us from wickedness and chaos. Put Jesus in your Christmas this year. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. He came down here to save us from wickedness and chaos. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. We done connive, fornicate and blaspheme. Come the month of December, you come up with your quattro and parancalypso to shake up your latino. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. He came down here to save us from wickedness and chaos. Put Jesus in your Christmas this year. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. He came down here to save us from wickedness and chaos. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year.
But all he
body so neutrality. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife. Santa looking for a wife from the Caribbean. Anything Santa, anything, anything Santa, anything, anything Santa, anything, anything Santa, anything. Oh yo, they want to mash up the whole thing about Christmas time. They want to mash up the whole thing. They want to mash up the line. Since a boy I believing in me Santa Claus, now they want me stop doubting my parents just because Santa coming in helicopter, no reindeer no more. But they are fooling this believer, me stuck in hanging from the door. Santa bringing something for me.
Bringing something for me.
Santa bringing something for me. Yeah.
Bringing something for me.
Santa, I want a car. Santa, I want a car. Santa, I want a bike. Santa, I want a bike. Santa bringing something for me. Bringing something for me. Oi, the neighbor children them laughing at me old stocking. How a big man like you still believe the Santa thing. But I don't care how they laugh and make the cool you mouth. Since a boy I never know Santa to leave me out. Christmas morning when they wake up, all the laughing go stop. I go be doing the laughing because me stocking well full up. Santa bringing something for me.
Bringing something for me.
Santa bringing something for me, yeah. Bringing something for me. Santa, I want a ham.
Santa,
I want a lamb.
Santa,
I want some meat.
Santa,
For me to eat. Santa bringing something for me. Bringing something for me. Santa bringing something for me, yeah. Bringing something for me. Santa.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the worldwide, wherever pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is, Christmas Eve in Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, we are here as per usual. Let me just take this call and find out what is happening here. I finally get an early call. A pleasant good night. Let me just pause this to make certain that I have it correct. A pleasant good night. All right, good. So it means that no is a false alarm. And let's continue, of course, with the music because, of course, it is, of course, Christmas Eve, the penultimate day before Christmas, and indeed, of course, we have to be merry. Yes, that is traditional, that is cultural. We have to be, of course, expecting gifts, friends, family. That is traditional. What is not traditional is to, of course, have all of that merriment in the face of a record now confirmed breaking murder, crime and criminality, mayhem, Russian roulette, existence. As far as crime is concerned, anybody could be the next victim. That is how bad it is. And therefore, I caution out of an abundance of caution and extreme concern for my fellow men and the women and the children. Be very careful. Today, I had to meet a woman because she had a particular problem, and she told me in no uncertain terms, because last night I told her after the program I will meet with her, and she said no. The crime situation is so not just time consuming, but so psychologically implanted, indelibly implanted, that there is a paranoia of a national nature engulfing all of Trinidad and Tobago and therefore its citizens. Paranoia. And why I felt comfortable, of course, in meeting her after the program, just after 10 o'clock. She said, no. I'll meet you in the daytime. Well, of course, we know too that even in the daytime, people are susceptible, they are vulnerable, because the criminal elements are simply heartless. And of course, you know, I must, of course, equate that with the heartlessness of Rowley and his government. And of course, the way how they rub salt into the wounds, the collective and individual wounds of the population. I say so from the perspective, not only last night, when of course I identified and of course extrapolated. It was not conjecture, you know. It is based on logical common sense, experience, history, and the fact that there is something in the criminal lecture or text that talks about modus operandi. Modus operandi, the method of operation. And so I not just cautioned, but I told the population and the listenership and the viewership to expect the exploitation of the late Lisa Morris Julian's death and her children to be exploited by the PNM. And so said, so happened, because of course, just knowing that the funeral will be held, of course, the interment will be held on the 2nd of January, speaks volumes as to the veracity and the certainty of that, what I consider to be predatorial nature of Dr. Rowley and his team. They act as though they're spending their own money, and only when it is convenient to their political, let's say, currency that of course has no value, it has deteriorated, it has been devalued, and so they are prepared, of course, to exploit that. And I say to you, be conscious of that. But I want to tell you as well that yes, we have reached and passed the threshold of the highest murders anytime in Trinidad and Tobago, and I dare you, and I dare say without fear of contradiction, that no administration, the UNC administration that will take over the reins of managing the Trinidad and Tobago's affairs after the next elections, necessarily and without doubt next year, it is impossible for them to pass 600. Impossible. Rowley and they has passed the 605 threshold, and is now, of course, now it is out of control, and the year has not yet been completed. Not yet completed, people. Not yet completed. But of course, we have to understand and we have to put things in perspective. And therefore, while of course we are in the midst of celebrations, we must of course be very meticulous, careful, watch of course watch your surroundings, or who you engage at this time, because of course this is a time for friendship, camaraderie, and of course meeting new friends, etc. That's all part and parcel of the Christmas in Trinidad and Tobago's experience. But we must, of necessity, for the protection of ourselves. And while, of course, the police officers are giving, of course, themselves some kind of commendation or some kind of attempt to appease and to allay and to, of course, have people conduct their business as usual, because the economy is suffering. The reality is that people are highly skeptical. They are very fearful, and that is a tremendous burden. It is almost a traumatic experience. And as I have described it, Russian roulette style, any number could play at any time. So be careful. Be careful. But in the meantime, let's get a little more of that Christmas soca medley that I've put together for tonight.
Every year we petting, drinking and paranging to celebrate Christmas Day. We idolizing Santa, but no time for the Savior. This is not the way I say. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. Came down here to save us from wickedness and chaos. Put Jesus in your Christmas this year. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year.
Yes, indeed. And while that is so, in order to engage, of course, in an exorcism, we have to, of course, highlight the evil. The four horsemen of Trinidad and Tobago's apocalypse. Total destruction. And we must, of course, put Jesus, because evil could never conquer, but we have to identify the evil. And thus, of course, this is how we do it.
You come up with your quattro and parancalypso to shake up your lad.
Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand. And I wonder now, where do we go?
Residents of Tobago and northeast Trinidad are facing the full brunt of thunder showers associated with a fast-approaching tropical wave. Violent rainfall started at midnight.
Of unscrupulous men, while everything pass by, time is running out.
It appears that even nature is against Trinidad and Tobago under this fella called Rowley and his administration.
Look at this, and this is the compare by the lighthouse, right?
After yesterday's torrential downpours in the entire country, South Trinidad is still trying its best to recover from the tremendous amount of floodwaters that are currently ongoing. Behind me you can see vehicles trying to get their way through the tremendous amounts of floods, but some of them have actually stalled in the midst of it all.
Money make it goes inflate and thereby create a turbulent state.
A scene that has not occurred for at least the last 5 years. The eastern main road in Guayco in the vicinity of Blue Mountain Waters inundated with water.
Right in context, what shall be next?
At the closest point to the ocean. That created some sort of activities in the ocean, and what you had is a higher than normal tide.
Should fully come to pass, soil that wouldn't bear.
I don't know if, of course, this minister, the most, of course, what I consider to be dunderheaded nincompoopish, unarticulate. He is saying that the moon it came close to the earth and caused in Trinidad an activity that washed away, of course, the Manzanilla through the coconut roadway. That's what he told us. That's what he told us, you know. A minister of government. So they even want to blame nature. Nature. When they finish blame, of course, the children, they finish blame, of course, the senior citizens, and they blame, of course, the church, and they blame the criminals. This fella called the Minister of Works is now blaming, of course, nature. I'm going to play it in a while. Let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
No, Lennox, good night. I'm calling there. I feel like you're screening your calls because I'm calling on the WhatsApp and getting tuned in.
All right, okay, no problem. Yes.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Lennox. Good night, Trinidad and Tobago. Merry Christmas, everybody. I wanted to ask a question, Mr. Lennox. Well, I hear talk. I hear right now it's so much a home invasion, and you can't distinguish the police from the people. All of them is bandits. Even the police are not too. But the question I want to ask, any updates with the cashless society? I hear they implement that. Is that true?
The what?
Or
The what?
when is it going to take effect?
Repeat that, Mayor.
The cashless society, they want to introduce go cashless, you know, because right now they had it in Ghana. You know, I working in the States here, I just work with a lot of different people from all over the world.
Yes.
And some of them fellas are from Ghana, right? I don't know if you hear what was going on over there. They just had election and the opposition win, but the previous government who was in power, they had all the family members and different things working in government over there, but they had the cashless. But this new administration, they want to get rid of that, you know, because anything you buy, they're charging a fee. The company charging you a fee. The government has to get a cut out of that, you know, for every transaction.
Yes.
You know, maybe you could check up on that and elaborate more. You know, if
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Going on. Yeah, I will listen up.
Yes, no problem. Well, of course, I'm glad that he mentioned Ghana, and of course the cashless talk that, of course, Imbert came back from Europe, and I want to say that Europe trip that he made and said that he witnessed, of course, and got the idea of a cashless society. Of course, that would have followed on Rowley's, of course, cashless agenda. Notifying 1 or 2 countries in Europe, particularly the Scandinavian countries. But the caller has a very good point. Ghana, of course, he is using as the place where the new government have not looked at it as yet. So I will not say that it is original in terms of coming from me, but of course I am taking guard and caution and point from the caller, and the point I want to also make is that Ghana is either in or just coming out of an IMF program. IMF, International Monetary Fund program. Understand that. And all the time when Rowley was telling us that Ghana, and he want to bring Yam and Dashin and so on, and of course his frequent visits there, they were in an IMF program, you know. And all the while, clearly, all of that might have influenced, of course, his wanting, of course, to treat the economy of Trinidad in such a way so as to end up in an IMF program, even though, of course, he swore that, of course, once his government is in office, it will not go into, or his government will not go into an IMF program. Of course, we also know, too, that when Rowley tells you stand up, you run. And when he tells you close your eye, well, of course you open it wide because you want to see what is coming. It's always something sinister, something that is illusionary, something that is deceptive. But let's go to the lines one time. So to, of course, answer the caller's question, yes, we are going to look at the whole question of cashless society. And of course, you're quite right, the government has a revenue stream coming out of that. And more importantly, they could they could, of course, know all of your transactions and so on. And of course, use that to, of course, politically victimize. And that is the caution that the opposition leader, Kamala Prasad-Bichesa, has identified, especially with a Rowley and PNM government. We know what they're capable of to make themselves look good, electable, and of course, castigate and malign their opponents, not just in the UNC, everybody who oppose them. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night. This Silver Fox here.
Hey, mate. How you going, man?
Yes, man. I'll
thank you very much, of course, for the Christmas commendation and for the New Year for me and my family. Thank you very much.
And if we don't know what we're doing, half of Trinidad and Tobago will be going on the breadline.
Yes.
Because how a man who's selling crab could sell anything? How we getting money? Eh? I want to know. Let me say something to you. It's alleged, right? In Ghana and Nigeria, it's alleged Rowley have property up there. Rowley, don't take on Rowley with what he's coming with. Rowley want to turn us to eat dirt and make bread with it, right? That man come to destroy us. He have a something in his head to destroy Trinidad and Tobagonians. The man have no love for nobody. When I hear he talk about that woman is one of the best people, it shocked me because I know he's speaking nonsense.
Yeah.
Right? He's speaking nonsense. Trinidad and Tobago, Rowley don't like nobody. Right? Only his family. He don't like nobody. And he will keep things in his mind till he pass away this earth. And he will still keep it in his mind. Because Satan will make him keep it. Keep Trinidad and Tobago, if all you want to live like how you used to live before, vote for Kamala Prasad-Bichesa. Don't care what Rowley telling all you. Rowley can't keep all you safe from nobody because he want to keep all you on his behalf. Trinidadians, we Tobagonians is watching at all you now. We want to see what all you going to be doing for this election coming. We hope all you take heed. We hope all your head are bad. All your head not bad. If all your head bad, all you going to lose out. Stop this stupidness all you have the race. You don't have that now. Everybody is human being. Everybody working hard. Everybody trying to live good. Stop talking about race. I'm a black man and I don't talk them nonsense. I watch everybody equal. Black, Indian, we are brothers and sisters. We come out of slavery together and we have to stick together. We can't move from one another. Don't let no politician divide us. We are not to be divided. Stop it right now. Stop it. But banana is a good food. The good thing, I just make punch and all kind of thing with it. You could make cake, you could do anything with it. Stop all the nonsense with Rowley. Rowley carrying all down the wrong road because he wants to stay in power. The man just possessed. He's a Tobagonian that is possessed. He possessed over power and he going mad with it. If you really listen to him, he don't even know what he signed, that Americans could come here and take up base here because he don't even know what he signed for. The man is just a lunatic, a Lego cannon. Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidadians, I'm calling all you, vote for UNC and all you will be happy back in life. or you will be in so that nobody even can even tell us nothing. Or you gonna be well off. We gonna have what we want. Things gonna drop back. We will be in a good place. When God took us, we know that somebody was cared about us. We know Kamala cared for us. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Merry Christmas each and everyone, except the ones that said they got die PNM, to go also go to hell. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. That is a opening salvo of extreme, what I consider to be nestled in extreme patriotism. Patriotism coming from a Tobagonian. They have dismissed and overcome the Calcutta ship. They try that again. And in two contexts. Rowley and they try it again in two contexts. One, in the election campaign, they of course had pictures with Kamala Prasad Bisesa and other members of the executive of the UNC, and of course that of the PDP, including Watson Juke and of course Fali, and was spreading that all over Tobago. All over Tobago, they were spreading that. And then, of course, the other context was when Rowley started to malign, of course, Watson Juke. And I'm talking here, of course, during the election campaign, saying that Watson Juke, of course, is on a rape charge. And therefore, likes like him, so he's less than a human being as far as Rowley is concerned, likes like him cannot enter the door of the PNM for even screening. But I want to tell you that he did. He Rowley, the blasted rapist and pedophile that he is. He had to hightail out of Tobago. And like the typical criminal, getting an opportunity of power, because that is what the caller from Tobago is saying, Silver Fox. He then tried to impress, he then tried to impose, and he tried to what psychologists call, of course, generate a projection that he is immaculate, he Rowley is immaculate. That time he's a poison dart. And of course, the caller from Tobago said so. The other major area that, of course, he tried to impose his pernicious and power-grabbing and power-hungry nature is when he arrogated unto himself the person to settle the matter with the 6-6 situation, consequential of the elections before the last one in Tobago. And he went unilaterally and with a slim majority of only 22 seats of the 41 seats, the opposition have 19. Don't forget that. And just look at the difference to see, because you need 21 seats in order, of course, to win government in this country. He went there with a slim majority, and of course, clearly demonstrated that he does not have a mandate of that nature to, of course, go and impose 3 additional seats. And he did it. Reckless, brutal, irresponsible, and say that he has the authority, it is incumbent on him to, of course, settle the matter. When there were other proposals, including, of course, pulling of straw. The person with the longer straw, depending on the person who, of course, is being or acting as referee. If you say, well, of course, the agreement is that the person pulled the longer straw, they would now, of course, be the government of Tobago I'm talking about. You have that as well. And that is also in the in the standing orders of the national parliament as to, of course, break a tie. But he said that it is incumbent, and of course the opposition had to tell him, Kamala Prasad said, no, nobody authorized you, the law doesn't authorize you to break anything. Understand that you can introduce, of course, any law, like any member of the opposition on Private Members' Day, but you as Prime Minister is not authorized to break nothing. It's the will of the people we are talking about. And he put himself above the will of the people, as we saw when, of course, Kamala Prasad Bisesande had to take this government as far as the Privy Council, and the Privy Council said in no uncertain terms that Rowley and them tried to what? Try to usurp our right to vote and to elect a representative at the appropriate time as established in law, and he still go into the parliament and say that the Privy Council was wrong. He said that he is not pleaded guilty to, of course, breaching, contravening the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago that gives all of us as citizens, once we reach, of course, the qualification age, to vote in this country. So I say to you, the second and major plank of this attempt to stay in office, it is called, of course, auto coup. It's a coup, auto coup. A group of persons, usually the incumbent, meaning that they are in office, and use the apparatus of government to stay in office. That is what this man has done. Too regular not only take notice, but to conclude that he is undemocratic, immoral, unethical, and would want to impose the pernicious, evil, diabolical mismanagement that he has demonstrated and has brought the country to the brink of disaster. He and his, of course, his other co-horsemen of the Trinidad and Tobago apocalypse. Yes, the Bible talks about the destruction that the four horsemen of the apocalypse will bring. And as I said earlier, you heard, of course, Sinanan talking hogwash about this, about the moon at a certain point, and as a consequence, water caused, of course, the washing away of the man. No, they are blasted blind. Even nature has gone against them. Nature has gone against them.
Should fully come to pass.
Nature has gone against them.
Closest point to you that created some sort of activities in the ocean, and
A scene that has not occurred for at least the last 5 years. The eastern main road in Guayco, in the vicinity of Blue Mountain waters, inundated with water.
Right in context. What shall be next?
moon was at the closest point to you. That created some sort of activities in the ocean, and what you had is a higher than normal tide.
Should fully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't fear. Children making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Yes, people, we must be conscious at this time when, of course, the country has recorded now its highest. And last year was also a record. The year before was a record. And so what you have is successive records. Because when the Rowley administration came into office, claiming that they have a 10-point plan, remember that? And that they have the panacea for crime. And he said, and he Rowley sat in those, of course, discussion with the opposition, and he spoke boldly and of course confidently that at the end of the day is how you feel. And he also went on to take the moral position that not only how you feel, but if a government is unable to address the question of crime, then of course they are part of the problem and must hightail or get the hell out of office. Well, boy, we have a major problem. We have a monolithic problem. We have a massive problem with crime and criminality, and Rowley and they only making excuses and blaming everybody else except themselves. They were prepared and are prepared to throw the police under the bus, the children of the country, the gangsters, of course the parents, the ecclesiastic class in the country, all of that. And if that wasn't enough, take our money and host, of course, a symposium on the subject in Trinidad to, of course, what I consider to be generate a frolic, a feeding frenzy for other CARICOM leaders to come here and talking about crime as a public health issue. And so, of course, they must, of course, engender the lampoon. You must caricature them. Caricature. They're jokers. So of course, what emerged from all of that is that the typical Trinidadian is saying, listen, if a man point a gun at me in whether it's a home invasion or on the streets or in some kind of robbery, all I need to do is to find the nearest pharmacy and go and take a pill, and of course that will solve the problem, because of course crime is a public health. That is the kind of mockery that they have made Trinidad and Tobago, and we must take them serious. We must let them know that the time has come to an end, and Rowley placed no value whatsoever and his cohorts, because they should be telling him, Rowley, you said these things and to the population, and the population took it for granted that you are an honorable man. But of course, as it is said, that when dishonorable people, in Rowley's case, dishonest people, seek and acquire honorable office, the only outcome could be what we are experiencing now. And of course, from a biblical perspective, spiritual wickedness in high places. Even nature is against us now. Look at Greenville. All the houses there flood to the roof. People were marooned on their roofs under Rowley. And here what is, of course, very revealing with that scenario, because I did send through the Freedom of Information Act, and as normal that they will try to be cagey and they'll try to be, of course, obfuscatory, but we got it. I want a list of all of the ministers associated, of course, with that particular project called Greenville. And guess what? Rowley as Minister of Housing, and Rahel as the owner of the land. Rowley bought as Minister of Housing the Greenville land, swampland, the riverine, the floodplain part of it, and purchase it at residential value, all over the place. He is castigating people like Munilal and so on, and on the same basis. But for that particular purchase, he says, well, you know, when you put in roads and you put in infrastructure, including utilities, water, lights, the value of any piece of land like that will increase. No, that is for him. You know, the same thing happened with a piece of land that he is accusing Munilal as Minister of Housing of over purchasing overpriced piece of land. And when we examine it, nothing different to Greenville in principle, and that is the land had on it infrastructure, roads, drains, as well as facilitation for electricity and water. This son of a bitch called Rowley. Yes, we have to tell it as it is. He's a wicked man. Do as I say, but don't do as I do. The level of hypocrisy that, of course, is in this man alone, we can understand why the population hate this man so much as a man and as the worst prime minister ever, and will be in future still hold that record for being the worst prime minister in this country. A total thief, corrupt, and could talk nonsense and pretending, of course, that he is intelligent. That is why I keep saying that he suffers from an inferiority complex, because he knows that he's incompetent, he knows that he's a thief, he knows that he is, of course, arrogant and contemptuous, but all of that is part of his makeup to try to, of course, deflect attention away from the kleptocracy that he has put together. Government by thieves. Government by thieves. And if you are angry like me tonight, then of course you are in the right place. Must be. Because he is still there. And once he's still there, I don't care what the sycophants say. I don't care what the apologists say. I don't care what they talk hoax, they talk show hoax and them say. He's in my space because I'm a citizen of this country, and I need to have Rowley and they account for what they're doing, including, of course, criminal accountability. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
You just tell Lennox, what's up working with?
Yeah, it looks so. It looks so. Or the
right.
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
All right.
You can open. So my contribution will be short, brief, and sweet.
All right.
I say my contribution will be short, brief, and sweet.
Yeah, okay then, my friend. Go ahead.
Right? The subject you're talking about Rowley and Greenville. That is when Manning threw him in the doghouse, you know that, right? When he was
of course, but and he was to account. Yeah, he did that, but let me tell you this. If Manning had known about Greenville, Rowley would have been making a jail all now. It had to be, because remember, his focus was on the Arima development. So that didn't come to him. Why? Because you had people like his bagman right now, of course, who is head of HGC. You're talking about Noel Garcia. And of course, his wife was involved as well in terms of the documentation and the legal and the legal issues that would have necessarily been part and parcel of the development. And so, in other words, I'm trying to say he had his close conspirators, soldiers next to him, so therefore that was kept away from Manning. That's the point I'm making. Go ahead.
Yeah, so last time I'll be short, but the other part was, you know, Greenville is the first time, right? The first time. They blame it on Munilal. I say when Greenville is the first time, they blame it on Munilal, you know.
Yeah.
But the man to take that blame was Rowley.
Of course. He purchased the land as residential when it was supposed to be agricultural lands.
Yeah, so they can't blame the headline paper next day. It's not weak.
Yes, that's what he will do until, of course, he is found out, and then he goes silent. But the damage has already been done, so he hopes, and that the sycophants and the stupidities and them, the stupidity PNM and them all the tail, all the stupidity, listening to that nonsense, and all the must know, applying your common sense, but common sense is not as common in the PNM, and of course those sycophants who clearly have lost their way in terms of putting on blinders and listening, of course, to the likes of this, what I consider be despicable, indescript, crooked individual. Yeah, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but it has no adjective to describe it again.
Telling you, man, I run out of adjectives, but we'll find some more. Yeah.
And by the way, the mother told you is 620, no?
620, I have no doubt, 620, I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. You know, have a next man, let's call the sheriff, or some sheriff, he does bring the homicide. And all homicide is all the
Yes. I know that you have been studiously been graphing from that. And of course, I accept.
And an example of homicide is the two teenagers.
Yes.
Remember that? So that would be classified as murder.
Yeah.
That might be breakdown to manslaughter or something like that. So that's how it is.
No, well,
so
the police service are trying to be as technical as possible, and therefore closer to the legal description or definition. But as ordinary citizens, a man kill a man, irregardless of the circumstance. That's another death.
Yeah.
And they are trying to tell us that no murders. Well, of course, they try their best to go along that line, but they still cross, of course, the 605. That was the highest in the country ever before this year, and this police service and this Rowley administration. Not that this administration didn't have the second highest as well, and the third highest.
Well, of course, yeah.
All the heights.
Yeah. And the mainstream media.
They came into office, and the highest was in 2008.
Yeah, I managed 5 to 10.
Under Manning, and then Rowley wipe off that 500, I think, and 39 thereabout. And now it's only
gold, silver, and bronze.
Yes.
I said gold, silver, and bronze.
Gold, silver, and bronze for him. But of course, in a pernicious and negative sense, gold and silver and bronze supposed to be, of course, high quality in the athletic sense, in the sporting arena. But in the case, of course, of the crime and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago, he get the highest for the highest qualities in terms of the worst performance as far as murders are concerned.
But you notice that they are talking nothing about that.
No, of course not. They ain't talking about that at all. Very good observation. They will not. So we have to talk about it. We have to let them know what time it is.
Apparently they give up.
Yeah, obviously they have given up, but they would not stay. But they would not say when is election. They have given up, you know. They know that, but they will not. They will stay there, impose themselves, and have the wrath of the people more and more intense. And I know ultimately blue lights and silver bracelets awaits all of them, the entire cabinet of this country under Rowley, including Rowley. All right.
Yeah, so before I make my exit,
go ahead.
I wish you and your family. Well, I ain't in the Christmas mood, because my wife is wrong me. I love that Christmas spirit. But I wish you and your family season greetings and a happy New Year coming up. Right?
Same to you, of course. That is a human relations, of course, expression or gesture, and I reciprocate. I reciprocate as well, having regard to the season traditionally. But of course, we know that all is not well.
Yeah, our people suffering, man.
People suffering. Too much under this malicious, evil, wicked, diabolical, and indurate, heartless, stone-hearted, pig-headed individual called Rowley, claiming to be some kind of prime minister in this country. All right, thank you very much.
Take care, my friend.
Okay. All right, okay, people. I'm getting the impression that the WhatsApp is not working, so that you can call me on the ordinary phone. I know that that will consume some money. But somebody try again on the WhatsApp and see whether or not that is so. I have been trying, of course, to remedy this situation for the longest while, and it appears that it's still, because that caller just said that he had to consume some of his normal, of course, data in order to, of course, effect this call. Let me see if this will give us some additional information. Professor, good night, welcome.
Good night to you, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
And compliments of the season, bad as it is.
Yes, same to you.
I noticed that the ground report wasn't on this morning.
Oh yes, I omitted to apologize earlier. Yes, you're quite right. It was not. I myself, frankly, was belatedly informed, because I too was ready to, of course, go this morning, as you would have seen tonight. But it appears that the statements of frustration expressed by Mikey seem to have prevailed. So that's all I can say for the time being. But it appears, that is well. Of course, there will be none tomorrow. Of course, I will be on tomorrow night on the corridor.
I'm just thankful to know that it was a oversight, an error, and something, and nothing onto what had taken place.
Yes, because it was. Yeah, that's right. Because it could have been worse, having regard to the enemy that is the bane of Trinidad and Tobago's citizen, and the threat to our civilization by the Rowley administration. I agree with you.
But quite obviously, they have become quite desperate, to the extent that they have played the trump card in the fisherman and the friend of the ocean, Mr. Aboud. They had to play that trump card.
Yeah. I have a copy of that. I will play tomorrow night. It is very interesting. Very interesting. All of the Zandolis have to come out from below their cozy, of course, incognito cages and caves. They are now emerging. Underground, subterranean. Yeah.
Using his cousin as reason to attack the UNC.
Yes.
A cousin who also same diaspora to him.
Yes.
And has his own political party, has his own views that he is entitled to, and he has been quite vociferous over the years with those views.
Yes.
Was once a marching partner alongside Keith Rowley. I mean, and then he uses his cousin who has that type of a resume to attack Kamala Prasad Bissessa.
Yes.
How stupid can you get?
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you, it is desperation to the extreme, because of course they know what the consequence of that relationship with the UNC will mean. It will mean inevitable government, and they will, of course, be let's say, on the side that will reduce their influence in the country.
Yes, but by his own action, he has already done so, because no right-thinking person in this country is going to support him and his business. He has done what KFC. You remember KFC when they put $2 on the ketchup and they raised the prices and they got boycotted for about a good 2-3 weeks.
Yes, and then of course they had to rescind that, and of course come on to reality. Yes, the people. The consumers had showed the power of consumerism. Yes.
They had to bend the knee. And when Ramsaran Milk family went and made some obnoxious statement, they too had to bend the knee.
Yes. So, when he said that we are the most powerful, we're small but we're powerful.
Yes. So those 5,000 aunties and uncles that he has may be his only customers from here on in. Well, with the exception of one, of course, who seems rather intent on destroying him as well, now that he has taken a personal attack against him. Yes. But at the end of the day, for them to play that trump card so early in the game, it tells me that the desperation has set in. And the reason,
the point I was making, yes.
And the real reason why they have not announced the election date is because that just brings their prison term that closer. Because they can't escape, They cannot escape.
Of course.
They cannot account for the country's money. They cannot account for the actions. The procurement chairman, or if that is the correct term, cited over $5 billion in...
Yeah, the procurement regulator,
regulator has cited over $5 billion in contracts that, didn't
could not be accounted for. Similar to, of course, the Auditor General's 2 point something, and of course back to 3 billion, whether on the expenditure side or the income side.
But I want to say something, and don't get me wrong.
Go ahead.
From time to time, the Prime Minister mistakenly speaks the truth. and he spoke the truth when he declared that the MP who lost her life and her family in the tragic fire was his best MP. And it tells me that it confirms that the best PNM MP is a dead one.
Well said. I was looking. I was contemplating where you're coming from with respect to that. When you, of course, it was a bit surprising that you said when you used the term best and whether or not he mistakenly spoke the truth. But I understand the direction which you're going, and I want to endorse that. It's only a Trinidadian could, of course, make that kind of relationship. Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes he mistakenly, by accident, it comes
out. I was hoping for another example of that accident, but I think that one is appropriate as well.
And feel free to repeat whenever you feel the need to.
Yes, I certainly will. The best parliamentary representative is a dead one as far as the PNM is concerned.
Yeah, the best.
But of course, last night I did in fact show. Making the point that particular seat, Dabadio Mira, appears to be blighted because, of course, she was the default alternative after, of course, Ansel Antoine. He made a faux pas where, of course, he said that the United States is a shithole. And of course, it was right in the jaws of a very heated discussion with respect to Delcy Rodriguez, and they were facing possible sanctions from the United States and so on. So Rowley quickly, of course, withdrawn his candidacy, and of course that is how Mr. Morris Julian came in. You see, so that the entire thing seemed to be, mired in some kind of supernatural, some kind of cosmos, inexplicable, and I'm still looking at how we could, resolve that, because, how come is she? How come is there? How come no water? How come the fire attendants was attending other fires? How come 5 of them came out and she and her two children perished? And of course.
But let's be reasonable, Mr. Smith.
Well, go ahead.
Can a good water supply, a domestic water supply, put out a fire? Craziness. That could never happen. A fire of that magnitude. No amount of pressure in a domestic supply could put that out. So the infrastructure that is needed is just simply not there because it's been neglected. And when the previous government had built all these fire stations all over the country, and the contract for equipment to equip these fire stations with everything, including trucks and water things and that cannons and everything else, they claim those contracts were corrupt, and they cancelled all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly why, up to now, those brand new fire stations are in a state of dilapidation. They didn't even buy a broom to sweep them out.
Yeah. They have not facilitated to completion what these fire stations would would require.
No,
They have not facilitated
require.
that. Yeah.
And now, and similar to the schools that were 95% complete, some of them needed to have the air conditioning installed. Some of them needed just to have TSX come and install the electricity, and they just left them to rot.
Wow. And of course, you remind me of the situation at Rice Road, when, of course, for months, if not at least close to a year, the firemen decided enough is enough, and they took the mattresses and went to some other part of the compound to, of course, abandon the dormitory. But you had Hines saying, and that's the point I want to make, these fellas, doesn't realize or try to make slight of a serious matter when he said that they went out there because they wanted to, of course, do some rehabilitation of the dormitory. So they painted, etc., making a mockery of the whole situation. And I think that was so appalling.
That's an empty vessel trying to make a noise, you know.
Oh boy, but you can't make a noise even if it's empty.
Yeah, there's just an empty vessel attempting to be
You
heard.
make a noise. I hear you, my friend. I hear you.
Yeah. And we have to be very, very careful with these people. And what is even further surprising to me is that earlier you mentioned the kind of necromancy taking place within the party.
Yeah.
And the supporters will only, as a result of convenience, refer to necromancy taking place within the party and not realize that it's working just like taxation. It's working against their best interests.
Yeah.
They're not being looked after.
Clearly. It seemed to boomerang, ricochet, and exercise in futility. They spit in the sky, as the songster would say, and it just simply falling in their faces.
And with the proposed hike in electricity bill, they had better use those candles wisely, because I suspect they're going to need them more. They're going to need them more in the future, in the near future.
I hear you, my friend.
All right,
Yes.
let me allow someone else to come.
Yes. Thank you very much, of course, for that discourse and that intervention. Bye-bye.
I really know I will always try to support you, Mr.
And all the best to you and your family.
Thank you, and same to you as well, and the Ground Report family as well. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Thank you very much. I'll extend same to them. Yes, indeed, people. So these are very healthy discussions that we have of necessity, must engage in order, of course, to come to the conclusion that the present administration is not only pernicious, is not only toxic, is not only evil, is not only diabolical, but of course ought to be summarily dismissed. But you and I have that responsibility. And of course, I refer to, as the caller from Tobago endorsed, or put another way, as I have reciprocated by saying that we accept the fact that Rowley attempted, of course, as a Tobagonian, to, of course, undermine the electoral process in Tobago. And the Tobagonians, of course, at the end of the day, recognized, assessed, and their conclusion was 14-1. He lucky he get one. He don't talk about it, as the caller rightly said. They don't talk about those what they consider to be mishaps. But I say no. These are inevitabilities. When dishonorable people seek honorable office, and in the case of Rowley, you must add, of course, dishonest people. So dishonorable and dishonest people seek honorable office. The outcome is this level of disaster that we are seeing. And as I was also on the question of Greenville, it was Rowley who was the minister, purchased, of course, that land from Rahel, the former mayor of Port of Spain, as residential, when in fact it was classified and was not changed even after the purchase to residential. And it turned out that the man, they orchestrated the purchase of a lake bed. A lake bed because the entire thing was flooded out. And people were marooned on their roofs, roofed up. They couldn't even stay inside. And to say, well, look, water level to the knee, as the case may be. it consumed or inundated or went beyond the height of an average person. So people were marooned on their roof, courtesy Rowley, as Minister of Housing. The other point I want to make is that at the same time, Noel Garcia was his bagman, and as a consequence, that particular arrangement clearly did not meet Manning. Otherwise, that would have been included in the 5 million that morphed into 10 million that he asked and triggered a commission of inquiry because Rowley was concerned about Calderhart and the Unicut. And Manning has said, well, listen, it came to my attention that up at that housing development in Arima, you must account for that. And at the end of the day, it included, of course, the land date matter. And it appears that the commissioners didn't want her to get in any, what I consider to be extreme hot water or encounter with Rowley, because he has the propensity to be bold-faced, wrong but still bold-faced, wrong but aggression being the best form of defense. And we saw it too many times to not understand that that is his modus operandi in facing, of course, serious, what I consider to be easily provable issues surrounding Rowley in terms of his public offices that he would have been assigned to, whether it be the national quarries, bubble, whether it be housing, bubble, whether it be planning, bubble, and of course now as Prime Minister, well, it's bubble on steroids. Bubble on steroids. Imagine this blasted man telling us that recusement is a permissible conduct, a permissible gesture in his cabinet. Nowhere in the Commonwealth you have people recusing themselves in a cabinet of just what, 22 persons, over 500 and nearly 1,000 times. Rowley alone is about 12 and counting. Where is that? What is that? Blatant and unadulterated stealing, larceny in our faces, and he encourages that. We saw it, of course, recently when, of course, he accepted the SRC's recommendation. Blatant. At a time when he's telling everybody else to belt tighten. And why it is he felt that it was imperative or it was incumbent on him to, of course, accept that. Because when they start to spend after they're out of office, they want to commingle what they steal and that offering, that windfall, and say all is one. But no, the Kamla Prasad Bisesa administration, I can tell you, the most junior lawyer is senior to any one of the senior counsels that they have put there in order, of course, to protect their interests and pay them handsomely. They tried that, of course, with Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen. You don't want a more quintessential exemplification of that. All the best lawyers were used by Al-Rari as the fall guy, or put another way, the front guy, the front man. While Rowley, of course, was in his glee and saying up and down the country that they catch a big fish. And all the big time lawyers they say they have. Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen are out as the DPP withdrew. And we don't know yet what we will have to pay as a society for that, because of course they will not let it go, and they could be multi-millionaires as a consequence of that faux pas, that evil that Rowley has perpetrated on the people to try to catch a big fish in order to stay in government. A pleasant good night, welcome. Pleasant good night, welcome. Babylon. Seems to get it wrong. I call her, sorry about that, call back, please. Yeah. And FOPA is an understatement. It's an evil criminal act. The perversion of the course of criminal justice. Rowley was up and down the place, and we know for a fact that he was involved and that he knew and his cabinet knew, just as how they knew all of the reports of the, and in relation to Petrotrin, and still of course to try to protect Rowley from the fake oil matter, decided to close down Petrotrin and put in his lawyer as Michael Kwamina as a demand to of course clearly, and I could say so without fear of contradiction, sanitize the documentation to take, not only to give to the police, but to of course also at the arbitration that resulted of course in Avery Drilling getting a slap on the wrist. It's clear, logical, is obvious. And Rowley has to say why it is he put his lawyer there. It's to protect his interests. And the police has to tell us whether the investigation with respect to Rowley, and of course he's saying that it is his friend, and of course Dorit Kissing, who was the PNM candidate for Superior, contesting Kamala Prasad Misesa, the leader of the opposition. And he was the man who was receiving, annotating, recording the fake oil that contributed to the demise of Petrotrin by extension, and specifically the decision to close down the oil refinery, mothball it, thus robbing Trinidad and Tobago, you and I, a serious piece of our patrimony, and the inability to get $50 US today. That is what that is all about. That is the implication of that, those decisions by the cabinet of the country. All of them must now be subjected to blue lights and silver bracelets. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Yeah, same to you, my friend, and your family.
Yeah, you know who this is, San Fernando?
Yes, Mr. San Fernando,
right?
Yes.
That caller that just called, he put this thing over, and I've been saying the same thing for the longest while, you know, but he just put it over in a different way.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You know, you're baffled at what's taking place in the country.
Yeah.
And even with that fire that happened.
Yes.
Right? But I can't see myself being baffled over it really, because we understand it now. What's going on is just bad management and, you know, wickedness.
Yeah.
So, you know, now look at it. Okay, let's take it from this point of view. They say that the PNM don't wash the dirty linens in public, right?
Yes.
But then look at it. Look at look at that UNC election that was called, right?
Yeah.
Under Kamala Prasad, she had nothing to hide. She had nothing to hide, and yet still the PNM elections was due, and he can't call it. He can't call it because he have a lot of things
in the closet. He have plenty things hiding.
Yeah. Well,
So-
we have to be very specific. He called it, but they postponed it. It was called. There was a date set,
Yeah.
and they
But
of
this
course
is-
eventually. Yeah. So let's get that clear because we don't want to misinform or lose any modicum or modicum of the chronology and the sequence of events. Go ahead.
But you see, my point is, I feel that they might very well go into general elections without even calling that PNM election. You know?
But yes, that is a strong possibility because the window of opportunity is closing rapidly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and a lot of things, as I told you last night, right? They
Yes.
put in the heading in each area,
Yes.
whether it be agriculture or Ministry of Health or utilities, whatever. You could see where there's a whole breakdown in the entire system of governance, right? And as I said before too, I always going on the I don't like to attack her just like that because Minister of Education, that's an area that has always concerned me because remember you're dealing with young people or people that are now being born, right? They're writing the essay and 10,000, 9,000 failing, and you fired that minister yet. That
Well,
minister
if you
should have
fire the
been-
Minister of National Security, if you fire the Minister of Youth, if you fire the
None of them are going yet.
Minister of Local Government, if you fire the Attorney General, when you would it's logical that there's a pattern of behavior that says he is going to absorb incompetence, impotence, and rank, of course, misbehavior in public office. So we are clear. Go ahead.
So there's a whole breakdown in the governance system.
Yeah.
You know something?
Definitely. Yeah. The PNM has imploded.
Listen,
They have
listen to
imploded.
something.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Listen to something. I remember reading somewhere that I can't remember if it was a book on technology or something so.
All
But if a company or and this book was I think was in they were talking about buildings in the United States in New York.
Okay.
When there's a code in the building system in New York that says once you build high rises, right, skyscrapers,
Yeah.
elevators and stuff like that are supposed to be checked every other, and they're strict on this, because your cables must be, must always be strong and everything to keep your elevator going up and down.
Right.
And if you are not able, or if for some reason you are not taking care of your cables in your elevator system and all of that, what is going to happen? You're going to get a disaster.
That's right. That's right.
Right? And if relate that to what's going on in Trinidad. Once that caller just the caller that called before, he put it across nicely.
Right.
Because once there is a breakdown somewhere, right? And that breakdown seems to just keep going on and on and on and on in every area of your governance, right? As I said before, whether it is health or whatever, right? We in trouble.
Yes.
So I am not really baffled, as to say baffled over it, because and we understand what's going on now.
Yes. Yeah.
9 years these people
Over
in
time.
power
Over time.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my contribution tonight.
Thank you very much.
Right?
Sir. Thank
So,
you very much.
yeah,
Of course. So there is consensus, almost. Well, I wouldn't even say consensus, but there's unanimity. Does it mean consensus means majority? Of course, unanimity means all and sundry. It is clear that, of course, that is the normative position of the population at this point in time. That Dr. Rowley and they are toxic. They are inimical. They are the greatest, or should I say, the most dangerous existential threat to our democracy, our economy, the rule of law, the separation of powers, and of course, constitutionally protected, independent institutions. So I think that is as comprehensive as one can be, having regard, of course, to their foray, to their intrusion into, of course, all of these areas that is not conducive to democracy and good governance. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox, good night.
Good night to you.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear.
Right. Remember the other day I tell you, Kamala should file an injunction in the court to stop Rohanson and man for removing them cable barriers and building that stupidity you want to build, right?
That bill, in fact, these barriers are under construction. I passed there today. No, today, yesterday, and so on and so forth. And I was amazed. It's you know those barriers that are on the Beetham Highway. It's barriers like those steel barriers. They have steel poles, and they attach them to these poles. You have vertical poles, and then you have a barrier about 70 centimeters wide, and it's made of steel, yes, and then they in turn are attached to the vertical poles, spaced out along the highway, along the median, going down or coming up, as the case may be. Yeah.
So they want to kill people then?
Yeah. So once you crash into that, there is no the likelihood of saving a life, I think, is very slim. Very slim. Yeah.
Right. Well, why I bring out back that? Because today I was out on the road.
Yeah.
By Yampley Route, and people talking about the pension. And I fell up and he say, at the NFL, well, it's not really fault to him, but he by not, but everybody want to beat him.
Push him, sir.
You pay that people want to beat him. They say, what you must have to do that is rowdy. It's not rowdy money. And hear what they say? They say the opposition leader have to file an injunction. Stop rowdy from talking all that crap and keeping them traumatized.
Yeah.
Yeah, why should not doing that, Lennox? Rowdy can't afford to be talking all this shit and have people in limbo.
Well, I think, I mean, as harsh as it may sound, but to me, it's a good strategy if that is available, or they may not have contemplated that, or they never wanted to do that. But assuming that it is available and that they have contemplated it, but are delaying, I think it's a good strategy from the perspective that those persons who Rowley and they see as their vote bank, their major vote bank, their base, and that continues to linger in their minds. The likelihood that they will not vote or will vote the tails out is real. To me, that's my common sense approach to the whole thing. So if I was your position, I would not, of course, file that. I would, of course, let the people realize who Rowley and they are, and that therefore they have been riding a very, what I consider to be deadly serpent, and of course with no returns, at all for them. Yeah.
Why are they today? If people looking to hear from the opposition leader,
okay,
concerning the pension and everything, yeah.
Right. But
everybody in the line was the NMP.
Yeah, but remember, the minister and the attorney general said that they will be withdrawing that clause at the earliest opportunity.
They're only talking that.
Well, well, that is good to know that the people are still in doubt, because they said the same thing about Petrotrin, and they closed it down, and the same thing about, of course, the property tax, and it is now a reality, and the same thing about subsidies, and they did in fact engage. In fact, they say he raised it 3 times, and then riot theater, so he go in and do it again. Something like
After
that.
that, tell one of them, he say, you ain't get no pension till the 4th of January. You know. She say, what you talking about? She say, go and vote already. 4th of December, 4th of January, you get your money. She said, that's propaganda. She say propaganda. She says, people like telling you what, you know.
Right. Yeah, but people are traumatized. It reminds me. It reminds me, that scenario reminds me of when Rowley, punitive and of course utilizing that as a yard, not a yardstick, but dangling that in their faces. I'm talking about senior citizens, when he told them, go and get the vaccine, your pension is under threat. And boy, they went out there, and of course they committed suicide, frankly, because mass deaths started as a consequence because people were massively, of course, infected. Yeah.
You think any other island in the Caribbean here? Grenada, Guyana, anyone? If I mean, so I could tell the people that?
Not one of them. I'm sure about that. Gonzalo tried that, and the guy boss head.
Yeah, Gonzalo tried that, the guy boss head.
Yeah, Gonzalo tried that, the guy boss head. Somebody let go a big stone from in the crowd and hit him.
Yeah, why these people over here putting up with this crap, boy?
I really don't know, you know. I really don't know, boy. I really don't know.
You know, like the money belongs to PNM.
Yeah.
You don't care, you know, there's something. And all this kind of asshole talk. Eh?
Yeah. That's true.
But me time in land revenue workers and each of them, you can get him a pay, you know, but then you have to work.
All them kind of things he got away with, boy.
Yeah, he's supposed to take
I'm
him
gonna be
bloody back
cussing
pay.
him right, left, center. I don't care whether or not I am a senior civil servant or not, because he can't touch me. You must protect yourself. And if he and if he tries that by subterfuge or by, of course, high-handedness, then you go to the courts, and the courts these days dishing out a lot of decisions against the government, because they realize that they are extremely autocratic, and you cannot afford to have that, especially the Western Hemisphere, and so close to the United States.
What makes them feel the money is their own?
Yeah, they believe that, the way how they speak. I took away 11,000 food cards, and next one I took away 8,000. Why they are lining up for food? They are greedy, and all them kind of hogwash.
Then I'm going to tell you something, eh? You see all them Donald Cox and Cockburn and all them who gone?
Yeah.
Nobody in the private sector will ever give them a work, you know.
So true. I've always said that, and I wonder why they would jeopardize what modicum of opportunity that they will have to get private work after Rowley's government's demise. I don't know why. Why would it? Is that he's so convincing that that they believe that the PNM will get back into office based on what Rowley say? Rowley done get $1 million undeservedly for back pay, and of course he's going to use that, as I say, he's going to use that, commingle it with what a thief, and then say, well, listen, that is the money that I could now spend, and he spends it lavishly without question. But it's Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC forensic team he will come up against. Yeah. You come up against. Don't worry. We have we must as a civilization, as a society, as citizens, to understand, we must go after these fellas and women to make sure it doesn't happen again. Quite apart from constitutional reform. Yeah.
Nowhere else in the world, nowhere in the world.
Nowhere. I share your anger, my friend.
And by the way,
yeah.
Somebody was Philip Alexander, this Gary Abu related.
Yes, somebody said that. Yes.
Some kind of cousin. But Gary Abu played with the wrong one, eh? You know, Philip is a man.
Yeah. Well, Gary is going to feel the pinch going forward, because so far, up to that point, he has been able, of course, to strangle the bias and the what I consider to be PNM sympathy angle very, very well. So he's got away. But now he has become blatant and rambunctious, yes, and bombastic, so that all poison arrows will be now targeting him. And as he showed his petticoat.
That's good
It's a female expression, but I think it is appropriate here.
That's very good if that happened to you.
Yeah.
Everybody black him, they look for that.
Yeah.
All right, just say what we gonna talk, boy.
Yes, we'll talk. Yes, man. The song is angry, man. I like that on this Christmas Eve. The song is angry. That is what we should be. That's how we should be, angry. Of course, let's go to the four horsemen of the apocalypse, Trinidad and Tobago apocalypse, and let's of course look at another dimension that many people don't know, but we need to, of course, to make people understand it.
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
People of Trinidad and Tobago, where has the decency? Where has the sensitivity? The man cried tears for the Haitian children.
We did every day.
We did every day. Suffering like that.
We did every day.
And when the corners and ask you for the money that you could not come from, arrogant people are able to come to anybody for that.
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs. Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
But it's no problem to recognize them.
Yes, people, of course, the PNM is definitely silent on the record-breaking for 2024 murders in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to make people know that is a fact, and what he was saying, they are unable, and his moral and ethical standards has no value.
National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget.
A bunch of devils.
But you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that
a group, of course, deserving of latrine status. Yes, out status. Latrine status.
You know exactly what to do. You know what to do. People that should have to be
kicks and blows, hiding behind.
Once you are in this political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
While you say
people of Trinidad and Tobago, where have the decency?
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
People of Trinidad and Tobago, where have the decency?
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
People of Trinidad and Tobago, where has the decency?
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Devils in business, in halls of justice, in God's own men who seduce your children. And if you praise your honest men, well then you hate and then you do. You're pretty devil, you're pretty bad. Well, look the devil, right in the eye. And when you see
yes, indeed, people, of course, a bunch of devils who have no regard for the human being and the citizens of this country. They have done us wrong. They have done us evil. And therefore, the entire cabinet of Keith Christopher Rowley must feel the wrath of the people. And they must understand that that cannot happen in perpetuity. The day of reckoning must come. And when it does, it must be fast and furious, swift and decisive, as they have inflicted pain, ache, agony, drudgery, and of course, have killed too many of our citizens for us to have any sympathy for them. Whether it's COVID, whether it be at the hospitals, at the neonatal or prenatal level, avoidable deaths, and indeed murders. Murders, people. It's for the first time in the history of Trinidad and Tobago we have ministers that are considered to be bearers of death. The Minister of National Security, the Minister of Health, the Prime Minister, bearers of death. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
A pleasant good night, Lennox. I thought you was trying it on the WhatsApp. I finally got it to work. Lennox, you know.
Yeah.
That man is the devil's spawn, you know.
Of course.
That man is a mocking pretender, you know, Lennox. You want anger, you'll get anger tonight, Lennox.
Good.
You hear? Lennox, that man talking about when you are in the political arena,
yes,
and you spending taxpayers' money, but that same rotten gut lying lunatic wanted to meet Monilal on the pavement because Monilal was questioning him.
Yes.
And they vexed that now Stuart Young don't want to answer Monilal with questions that he asking him about his visit to Venezuela.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But you see, Lennox, let me tell you something, eh? He was the one, let me remind you, and I know you probably have it at your fingertip, right? If you're going to wake up on the morning of the 8th with the same thing, right?
Yes.
And the incumbent is going to come and tell you, we have done well, give us another chance. And I am saying to you, they have not done well, give us the chance. Okay, they give you the chance on what you did. What you did, you messed up the whole country. You mess it up. And then you want to have PNMIs coming to talk crap and bullshit about a fire truck? When Rowdy and them doing worse than a fire truck? They were voted out because of the fire truck. Let's put it this way. But all they had not the campaign on. You're coming back to Tobo Kamla was a crook. The biggest blasted crook is Rowley. He butchered the procurement bill, but you talking about a fire truck. He butchered the procurement bill for lawyers and medical and everything. But you talking about Kamla is a crook. Lennox, like they forget, the crayfish posse and them, that there was 1,000 recusal, right? They ain't feeling shame that Rowley made Angus Young a billionaire banker and them ain't get one shit. All they get is a grocery bag to crap in. That's all they get. Because when Kamla was removing these suspects in Lavendale, this man, the one who did, Franklin can't say they ain't have money to finish it, but they could have buy paintings and only want to come out over Kamla is a crook. But let me ask for something.
Go ahead.
Didn't Kate Rowley pay SRP Kate 50+ million to fight UNC corruption?
That's right, specifically, and that was disclosed to us by the then Commissioner of Police, who was given that task, or who was approached on that matter. Right? I'm talking about Gary Griffith, now political leader of a party, yes.
So then, if Kate ain't find nothing and Kate was paid 50 million, how come the crayfish posse and them coming with all these things? Fire truck, corruption in the fire station in Arima, and one set of infantry. Lennox, I think that they should be in witness protection. Because if they have all this information, take it to the DPP.
Of course, and they did take one to the DPP.
Take it to the ULA.
Yeah, they did take one to the DPP that caused, of course, temporarily Anand Logan and Ramdeen to be charged.
Ramdeen, yeah.
But it turned out to be a concoction, a figment, a contraption of course, Rowley and his pernicious imagination, utilizing, of course, Al-Rari, who had to be removed from the office of Attorney General, and now, of course, his local government, not too far, local government minister.
Should have been fired.
There is a
he
conspiracy.
Should have been fired, Lennox.
Yeah, to undermine the criminal justice system, and for that, the society must call on the police to have Rowley and his entire cabinet pay the price criminally for such evil deeds against the citizens of this country.
But Lennox, you see what has happened to them, the crayfish posse and them, right? They need an industrial strength colon cleanser, you know, to flush it out from them, Lennox. Because all they is full of shit. Excuse my language, Lennox.
Yes, that's all right. That's
you
all
understand?
Right.
Yeah, Christmas Eve night. Yeah, we vented.
You're home, man. You're home. Yes, indeed. Yes.
Lennox, these people want people to believe. You see what has happened to them? They are so threatened by this alliance, right? They're pushing Parry. Parry couldn't even win a Natex for an election. Parry sat down there, Parry watching all white his arm round and them doing. And Parry ain't saying a word. But Parry, they only want to push out Kamla. But Parry, why Parry ain't for me own party and all only follow him? See, there's a lot of pop-up parties coming up.
Well, yeah,
right?
you have all these copophagia candidates, you know. When I pay them sycophants, they eat their own filth and believe that somehow it is so tasty for them that others, of course, will, of course, share that view. Well, I want them to know that, of course, defecated material is defecated material, and it is to go either to a flush toilet or a cesspit.
Lennox, they need serious help from a vet. They need, because everything Rowley vomit up and spit out, they swallowing it and coming on all the chats on them to regurgitate it.
Yes,
they feel like when they do that now, people will say, oh, okay, all right, I'm not bad, and we'll go with all here. You understand?
They are alarmed to the slaughter. They make no sense. They are discombobulated, and that, of course, they are desperate. and desperate people, of course, talk nonsense, as you see with Rowley and
Talk
his entire
desperate
cabinet.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And here now, they feel they got feather in the cap. Wait is Gary Abu doing, but they don't know Gary Abu dig his own grave.
People, seek desperate scenarios to get them, of course. It's just like a drowning man. He will hang on to a straw. So we know that there's a lot of straws that they're hanging on to, but eventually straws, sorry about that, but straws also sink.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. But Lennox, let me tell you something, they have no shame. They have no shame whatsoever. You understand? To be coming on all these lives where we know differently. We know differently.
And mind
to
you,
come
if
to
we
tell
don't
people
do that,
about
if we are
vocabulary.
not this persistent, if we are not as dependent as we have taken an oath or commitment to, man, they will have their way, and of course the hogwash that they speak will of course dominate. But we are not so what I consider to be gullible. We are going to stick to it whether we like it or not.
You see,
and
with facts,
Lennox,
we going to, facts is a dagger in the heart of the PNMites.
That's right.
They don't like facts at all. But
Lennox,
yeah, and Lennox, when they cannot win an argument, they get personal.
Of course.
So tonight, one asks me.
Let me
give you a Christmas joke now. Let me give you a Christmas joke now. That a crayfish asks me, right, if I is a lesbian relationship with Kamala.
Right.
So I want to know if he ain't one with Rowley, because we know Rowley PNMites is a gang of pedophiles.
Yeah. Well,
right?
But
so he had to be one of them.
My response to those kinds of persons, and of course they don't like it, but you give me an opportunity to say it, that if a rapist and a pedophile is your leader, then of course I wouldn't even say God help you. I'll say the devil damn you. The devil damn them.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have a pedophile and a rapist as your leader, and you defending that before you get the hell out and
they were named in the Sapka and the
latrine.
They were named in the Sapka and the Julia Jones report.
Yes.
And you coming to tell me about Kamala?
Yeah, nobody there.
But you know,
they feel we don't have response capability, but it is glaring and in their faces, and we are going to, of course, wash it and
but
pin
you
it
see,
make it suit.
The thing about it is, Lennox.
Yeah.
They know about everybody else, but they're not looking at the family tree. I find they should shake their family tree and see what is going to fall out. But Lennox, I heard you mentioning the Cleaver, the Cleaver Heights, the Cleaver Heights, right? The Cleaver Heights project with the missing money,
5 million
right?
more to 10,
but 10 million, where the money go on, 10 million.
Yes.
But Lennox, what was so ironical, they say it was a typographical error. But how it is that the words was different to the actual numbers? Who they fooling, Lennox?
Yeah, the
Who they fooling?
the figure was different to the
wording.
Yeah, to the writing, to the wording.
The wording of the spelling of it. Because all of us look stupid, Lennox. Every word, single one of us look stupid in this country. But let them carry on. Let them carry on. It just goes to their intelligence, Lennox. That's all about it. Anyway, Lennox, you have a good day tomorrow, and Christmas greetings to each and every one. Well, not to each and every one, not to my enemies, to my friends. Christmas greetings.
Same to you, my
have
dear.
a good night. Take care.
Same to you, and I will be there. I will be here tomorrow as well.
Well, all right. Take care. Later.
Yes. Bye-bye. Yes, people. So we have, of course, we are rapidly, of course. No, we are already 10 o'clock. But I need to play this because it's important that you get an appreciation as to Rowley's and his character, and of course his hypocrisy, and his, of course, what I consider to be moral disposition of convenience. His moral disposition of convenience. And because of that, it is idiosyncratic of him to lash out, to be irascible, to be contemptuous, and to, of course, say vile and nasty things. And then you have, of course, those same sycophants who, of course, wanted to talk nicely about this rapist and pedophile, whether it be Gary Aboud or whosoever defending that scum of the earth. Well, listen to him in another disposition. Listen to him.
East want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. You see these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit kickers, right? And I'm hoping that I met Dr.
Let's start it over.
East want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. Or approach East want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. You see these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit kickers, right? And I'm hoping that I met Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. You see these boots I'm wearing?
He's a version.
We the farmers of Tobago
He's a
and Texas,
version.
we
He's
call
from
them shit
Lavender.
kickers, right? And I'm hoping that I met Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. Or approach East want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. You call on the Prime Minister to do.
But let me tell you something. There's a standard joke in St. Barb's on the hill, the highest point really in Laventille, on the hill. A fellow called Sir, a long time Bajan, he has died now, hit Rowley one slap on Balize house step. All Rowley do is watch him bad eye. And for years he watching him bad eye. Years he watching him bad eye. Could do nothing about it. All the Bajan he played, he only about all of them. All of them. Hollow, superficial, and superfluous. Let me hear him again. Let me hear him again.
Want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. Or approach East want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. You see these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit kickers, right? And I'm hoping that I met Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. You see these boots I'm wearing? We the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit kickers, right? And I'm hoping that I met Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. Or approach East want to talk about party elites and meet him outside on the pavement. You call on the Prime Minister to do something.
I remember I told you of how he would be disrespectful of women. Listen to him.
I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men.
Take it in your pooch.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element. But you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide.
Let's pause there and take this call, because your vote will decide what to do. You see, he's bluffing. He's singing loud and saying nothing. Empty vessel making plenty noise. It means one thing. Like of course, the Nancy story and the rabbit. Don't throw me in the bush. Don't throw me in the bush. But this is the bush you want to go. Well, in his case, he's saying, you know what to do. But he don't want you, of course, to vote his tail out, which he will get. Because we're not stupid. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
I want him to go back bonjour and talk that crap. Let him go back bonjour now. And then for that's why our slam come down. Go and tell them shit kickers and all this.
Well, he had a dose of it in St. James in the local government elections.
But that was it.
And when he got it so, and they say he does lie, he get confuffled, dumbfounded, and totally flummoxed. And he He had to dwarf his campaign into, of course, a mini prime minister session, and boldfacedly utilizing our money to, of course, launch that what I consider to be a despicable display of abuse. Yeah. Yeah, boy. He couldn't stop them, and he couldn't say it was UNC and UNC implantation. He couldn't say that either. So he just remained blasé and totally confused. How the hell PNM people could come in a PNM meeting and, of course, tell the political leader and prime minister, you just lie. And don't get me vexed before I play it, before the night done. Yeah. Of course. Tell him as it is. And Mr. Recuse worried about those who are those trolls that are online. No, don't be perturbed. Don't be perturbed. They know the truth.
I want to see how they go back and keep a meeting.
Yeah. So tomorrow, I'll get around to it tomorrow. Let those trolls and them know what PNM is saying about PNM and the PNM leader. Because he ain't no damn leader.
All them shit kickers he talking about. I tell you to go back to him so that keep a meeting.
Yes, indeed. All right. Yes, I'm going to wind up now. So let me just...
It's from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move on, use it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting, well beyond a doubt. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is they prove it to be only full amount. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the time is now that change should come about. Just as how you vote them in, vote them out. Register and vote them out. If they don't see, vote them out. Stain your finger and vote them out. Show them no mercy, vote them out. Vote them out with total scorn and utter disdain. Let's put our country together again.
Time has come for me to launch out into this new and exciting digital world.
Dominate your reign. Let's put our country together again.
Or a push east. Want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. Or a push east. Want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. You see these boots I'm wearing? We, the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. You see these boots I'm wearing? We, the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit pickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. Or a push east.
Well, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. I trust that you enjoyed it.
Do something about crime. I'm not in the bedroom. I'm not in the choice.
I trust that you enjoyed it, and of course, we will continue tomorrow night when you will see, of course, PNM people booing PNM people, and of course, the political leader of the PNM and Prime Minister today, lame duck as he is, and of course, with an imploding PNM. And of course, shame to lie down, afraid to call elections, a blasted coward. We will continue, of course, tomorrow night. Don't forget, of course, no ground report in the morning. But of course, tomorrow night, Christmas night, we will continue, of course, with these matters.
A major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move on, use it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting, well beyond a doubt.